Fasten your seatbelts as we dive into the turbulent world of economics, where a potential recession lurks in the shadows. The whispers of this financial specter are growing louder with each passing day, fueled by a complex cocktail of economic trends. At the heart of the storm is the Federal Reserve, an entity often seen as the custodian of the nation's economy. In an attempt to combat inflation, the Fed has been steadily hiking rates, a move that historically has been a harbinger of recessions. This current cycle of rate hikes is being described as the sharpest in 4 decades, sending shockwaves through the economic landscape. This tightening grip of monetary policy is not without its victims. The bottom half of public companies is already feeling the pinch, with a notable surge in effective interest rates. But there's more to this tale of impending doom. The lifeboat of excess savings, which buoyed the economy during the pandemic and its aftermath, appears to be running dry. This depletion signals a slowdown in economic activity, a chilling reminder of the fragile balance on which prosperity stands. As we witness wage growth slowing down and the buffer of savings thinning out, the signs are clear. We're on a road that could potentially lead to an economic downturn. So, as we navigate these uncertain times, it's time for us all to buckle up and brace ourselves for the ride ahead. As wage growth slows and savings deplete, we must brace ourselves for the potential economic downturn. The crystal ball of economics, or more accurately, economic indicators and predictors, paint a complex picture. Let's dive into the intricacies of this economic narrative. First, we turn our attention to the strong U.S. jobs report for June. The figures exceeded expectations, which initially eased recession concerns. However, there's a twist in the tale. This positive news also ushered in the potential for asset price volatility. It's the classic double-edged sword scenario. The S&P 500 rebounded from its June lows, but the report has swung traders' bets towards larger rate hikes by the Federal Reserve. This is a clear sign of the market's sensitivity to the shifting economic landscape. But just when you think the plot is set, in comes a counter-narrative. DataTrek Research presents a more optimistic outlook, highlighting 3 encouraging signs against an imminent recession. First, the Atlanta Fed GDP and Now Models estimate shows a 2.2% growth for the first quarter. Second, wage growth in March was reported at 4.2%, lower than last year, indicating a stabilizing labor market. Lastly, the demand for gasoline in the U.S. saw a 3.8% year-on-year increase in March. This rise in demand is often seen as a sign of economic confidence and growth. The economic story, like any good narrative, is filled with twists and turns. The indicators and predictors weave a tale that is both complex and fascinating. While some indicators whisper of economic gloom, others tell a different story, offering a glimmer of hope. Against the backdrop of potential economic uncertainty, the U.S. consumer stands resilient. Let's dive into some economic data that underscores this resilience. Our guide for this deep dive is none other than Ryan Dietrich, the chief market strategist of Carson Group. Now, it's no secret that consumer spending propels the U.S. economy, accounting for about 70% of the total output. But did you know that current trends suggest that consumer spending is stronger now than it was before the pandemic? It's true. Despite the challenges that have come our way, we've kept the wheels of the economy turning. But that's not all. Let's talk about the household debt service ratio. This is the ratio of debt payments to disposable personal income. Right now, this ratio is at a low point. What does this mean? It means consumers have room to take on more debt and spend more. This could be a buffer against economic downturns, providing a sort of safety net for the economy. Moving on, let's discuss wages. Wage gains are keeping pace with inflation. This means that despite the rising prices, the average American's income is also increasing. As a result, most people have more money to spend after taking care of their basic necessities. Finally, let's look at the balance sheet of U.S. consumers. We're talking about a healthy balance sheet with a whopping $168.5 trillion in assets compared to just $19.6 trillion in debt. This disparity between assets and debt is an indication of the financial strength of the U.S. consumer. In conclusion, even in the face of potential economic headwinds, the U.S. consumer remains a beacon of resilience. With a robust spending trend, low debt service ratio, wage gains matching inflation, and a healthy balance sheet, the U.S. consumer is well positioned to weather any economic storm that comes their way. In this whirlwind journey through the world of economics, we've grappled with complex and sometimes contradictory data. We've explored the looming shadows of a potential economic recession, underscored by the Federal Reserve's sharp rate hikes, the surge in effective interest rates among public companies, and the depletion of excess savings that once bolstered the economy. We've also examined contrasting views, some pointing towards a stable economy, Key indicators like the Atlanta Fed GDP now model estimating steady growth, wage growth keeping pace with inflation, and an increased demand for gasoline have all painted a somewhat reassuring picture. Finally, we shined a spotlight on the resilience of the U.S. consumer. Despite concerns about inflation and dwindling savings, factors like a low household debt service ratio, healthy balance sheets, and a strong job market suggest that Americans are in a good financial position. As we navigate these turbulent economic waters, it's crucial to stay informed and prepared. Remember, knowledge is power. And with that, we conclude today's deep dive into the world of economics. Stay tuned for more insightful discussions.